Welcome to this week's episode of Bite Size Buddhism. We will speak about what are wholesome and unwholesome actions as taught by the Buddha. Before we start our lesson, we would like to point out that in Buddhism, there is no such thing as good versus evil. There is no battle of the good and evil like we see so often in Hollywood movies, especially in superhero films. But rather, there is wholesome and unwholesome actions. It is important to know that actions in Buddhism comes from the mind. It is the mind that produces these actions, and the consequences of these actions imprint themselves back into the mind as a memory, invoking feelings and thoughts when we recall the action. Thus, the double arrow is used instead of a single directional arrow between the mind and actions. As with many religions, there is a choice to be made between wholesome and unwholesome decisions. But morality or ethics in Buddhism is not an order or a commandment from a higher being. Rather, morality in Buddhism comes about from reflection. Morality is also an act of balance in the world and in our minds, so that we can live in a well-balanced and harmonious world. In the previous lesson, the Buddha emphasized different trainings for the householders and monastics. He spoke according to the way their minds could understand his teaching, known as the Dharma. We talked about generosity in the last episode, and today we will talk about the importance of morality, not as a commandment from the Buddha, but rather an act of wisdom to maintain balance in our minds and the world. The Buddha, during his time, traveled in India and gave talks to those who requested it, such as renunciates from other schools, as well as householders. One day, he was wandering with his disciples and came upon Bamboo Gate. Bamboo Gate is a village in Kosala. The Buddha was the teacher of the kings of Kosala and Magadha. The inhabitants at Bamboo Gate were made up of Brahmins and householders. The Brahmins were the priestly class, and the householders made up the rest of the caste system in India in those times. The Buddha already had a reputation for his teachings, knowledge, and conduct. He was known to be the knower of the world. The world means how our psyche interacts with the world we see as material. The world also means the workings of karma. When the Buddha arrived, some of the Brahmins and householders bowed, some sat to one side, and some exchanged polite greeting. None of them in this story were the followers of the Buddha. But they were all interested to know how to create karma that allows them to live with material comfort here and thereafter. And so they asked the Buddha, "We wish to live at home with children, to use sandalwood imported from Kasi, to wear garlands, perfumes, and makeup, and to accept gold and money. And when our body breaks up after death, we wish to be reborn in a good place, in a heavenly realm. Given that we have such wishes, may the Buddha teach us the Dhamma so we may achieve them." The Dhamma contains many meanings, and one of it is the law of karma, which is the law determining the flow of nature and of the mind. The Buddha replied, "Listen closely and I will speak." The Buddha then asked a reflective question. What is the explanation of the Dhamma relevant to oneself? Or how can the Dhamma be explained in a way that applies to us, since we are not separated from the law of nature and mind? He said This is how the Dharma applies to the self. I wish to live and I don't want to die. I want to be happy and to recoil from pain. Since this is so, if someone were to take my life, I wouldn't like that. But others also want to live and don't want to die. They want to be happy and to recoil from pain. So, if I were to take the life of someone else, they wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on someone else? Reflecting in this way, they give up killing living creatures themselves, and they encourage others to give up killing living creatures, praising the giving up of killing living creatures. So, their bodily behaviour is purified in 3 ways. The 3 ways bodily behaviour is purified is the giving up of, encouraging others to give up, and also praising the giving up of unwholesome actions. For Buddhists, taking the life of another, not just human beings, but animals and insects intentionally, means that we continuously and happily harbour and grow the thought of ill will and ill intent in our minds. As long as we are aware we are intentional in committing the act of killing, it means we are nurturing the seed of hate in our minds. These 3 ways of purifying the mind also applies for the following precepts, such as, if we dislike others taking from us what we have not given, it doesn't make sense to inflict the same onto others. Also, if someone were to commit adultery with our spouse or partner, it would be displeasing and hurtful to us. So, how can we inflict the same onto others? Just as false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, and gossip will hurt our welfare, we should also refrain from doing the same to others. The last and 5th precept taken by Buddhists is to refrain from intoxicants such as alcohol and recreational drugs. The reason is because it will cause one to lose his or her mindfulness, and the individual high on alcohol or drugs may inflict pain upon another with speech or action in a drunken stupor and regret later. In the COVID-19 pandemic, one reason for the cases to surge is due to losing our inhibitions by consuming alcohol. These are the 5 precepts taken by lay Buddhists all over the world. These are strict precepts for monastics to follow because they are working full-time to purify their minds. There are over 200 and 300 precepts for monks and nuns respectively, but we will not go into it here. For lay Buddhists, the most difficult precept to maintain is the taking of intoxicants and the conduct of speech. Saying to refrain from killing, stealing, adultery, intoxicants, and false speech may seem restrictive, as if we are forced to take these instructions from the Buddha. So, you can also look at it from this angle. One who loves life protects the life of oneself and another. One who doesn't like his or her things to be taken without his or her permission protects others' properties. One who treasures harmony with others builds loving and positive relationships through mindful bodily speech and action. And for good health and to protect our positive mindset, we consume healthier drinks and food instead of alcohol and intoxicants. How does keeping these precepts help to balance our minds and the world outside of us? When we steal, we are taking something from someone without their permission. We could suffer guilt with the act, and guilt is a heavy feeling in the heart and the mind. The person whom we stole from would also suffer from an imbalance of the mind, having lost something. We could end up affecting those around us with our lack of a balanced mind from unwholesome thought and action. Just like a pebble thrown into a pond, causing ripples in the water, the imbalance within ourselves is spread around the world outside of ourselves. You can also view these precepts as an act of giving. with giving life by refraining from killing, giving security by not taking what is not given, giving harmony to others with positive speech and behaviour, and giving health to ourselves by consuming healthily. The act of giving is much praised by the Buddha. Monks, if people knew, as I know, the result of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would they allow the stain of miserliness to obsess them and take root in their minds. Even if it were their last morsel, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared it, if there were someone to share it with. But monks, as people do not know, as I know, the result of giving and sharing, they eat without having given, and the stain of miserliness obsesses them and takes root in their minds. As we can see, if we hold on too tightly to our possessions, we not only allow miserliness to take root and grow in our mind, but when we start to lose a little of what we love, we begin to act in unwholesome ways such as displaying our anger and unhappiness. The Buddha concluded to the inhabitants of Bamboo Gate, if you have these 7 qualities, protect and give life, protect others' properties, and able to give, and to be faithful to your partner, speak truthful, loving, non-divisive, and constructive speech, and these 4 desirable states, having faith that the Buddha knows the law of karma and through his practice and conduct attain enlightenment, faith in the teaching of the Dharma, faith in the Sangha, the practitioners who attain Nibbana through the teaching and having ethical conduct, which are the 7 good qualities, he or she is a stream enterer. During the Buddha's time, there was a householder. His name was Anathapindika, and he was very wealthy and was known to be very generous as well. He also had strong faith in the Buddha, the teachings, and the Sangha. After he died, he was reborn in the heavenly realm in a beautiful state and visited the Buddha and thanked him for helping him attain that state. The Buddha said that Anathapindika had attained stream entry where his consciousness was no longer able to fall into the lower realms, meaning that his consciousness could no longer manifest in the realm of ghosts, animal, or hell beings anymore, as he had eradicated unwholesome intentions from his mind. The stream enterer is the first state of enlightenment in Buddhism, and this being has eradicated the view of a self, doubt about the teaching, and attachments to rites and rituals. A stream enterer needs only 7 more lifetimes in the realm of a human or a heavenly being to attain full enlightenment. There is more to be spoken about the state of a stream enterer's consciousness, but we will not go into it here. Thank you for watching this week's Bite-Sized Buddhism. We hope you enjoyed the lesson, and remember to look out for other sources of materials if this information here resonates with you. Do not just simply believe what is shared here without any reflection. Thank you very much.